Hey guys, Jacob here. This wasn't a video I really was going to make just yet, but a decent amount of people have actually been asking me about this. This is going to be on the topic of the complete revamp and on how to prepare for it. So far we know that brand sets are going to be changing, exotics, talents, gear sets and stuff like that overall, and the game will be changing completely. So something you might, a build you might like right now might be completely, utterly trash or completely different in the next update. So if you're a fan of a certain brand set, the brand set could be completely different, or if you're used to using 3 or 4 talents on your build, you'll no longer be able to do that because you can only have 2 on a build at a time, as on your chest piece and backpack. The real question people have been asking though is, how do you prepare? What builds do you make? How do you make a build for this new update, not knowing too much information? I'm going to tell you guys some of the steps I did to kind of prepare a little bit, even though it's not out for a while. And that's going to be, the first one is the brand sets. Try to keep an eye out what brand sets are changing and pick the ones that you really like. Most likely they will be changing. For example, like Murakami, which I'll be showing you guys, is going to be changing. Gila is being changed a little bit different. And also keep track of your gear sets. So the ones you really like, make sure you guys have really good rolls on them, and also you have all the ones you want to use, and that way you'll have them when the new updates changed. First thing we'll be talking about is going to be these first 3 brand sets, and it's going to be Gila, Sokolov, and Murakami. You guys will see here, Gila is still on the defensive side with the blues, and you can see it has the armor generation, the health, and total armor, which is still there, but now you get a little bit extra. You can see there's just a standard armor roll there. From Sokolov, it's a little bit different now, just a tiny bit. You'll see you get SMG damage as normal. The crit hit damage has been increased by 15%, kind of like critical, so you're getting that, and you get surgical, which is like 10% crit chance. You also have the core attributes as weapon damage, and you also have crit damage on there as well, so you SMG guys can really get your crit chance and crit damage up by using this 3-piece brand set. Due to the fact I know that there was pretty much, I think it was, no one used the 3-piece because it was Seeker Mind skill power. I don't know anyone who ever used it. I know most people use it for the first piece or the 1-piece and 2-piece, so they can get a little bit of crit damage, also get SMG damage. Next is going to be Murakami. At the moment, from the 1-piece you get health, hazard protection, and no one really goes past the 2-piece and goes to the 3-piece. They mostly use it just to get the health, so it's now more of a utility-based skill. So if you guys use Murakami and you don't like skill builds, then you might want to start looking for other pieces that are more based in your playstyle. But if you are a skill build player and you want to know what the skill builds brand sets are, then I'd recommend picking up some Murakami pieces and collecting them, and also trying to make some kind of the build and look at each attribute, and so you guys know which one's going to do what. But if you're more of a DPS defensive player, then I recommend looking at more of the stuff that's more into blue and red, kind of like Sokolov here. But speaking of DPS, which is going to be the next brand set I'm going to talk about, which is the one I'm most likely going to be using the most, because it fits more to kind of my playstyle, and that's going to be Providence. On the left here, you guys will see this is old Providence, which I've been collecting pieces, and I recommend you guys collect pieces as well. That way you just have them when they change, and you can just kind of get an idea how you want to make your build. But also, the score will be changing, which is the gear score, which they said will be going up a little bit more. But you can get some kind of an idea of what kind of build you want to make, and that way it's kind of already there, and you kind of already have a blueprint. But on the right here is the new Providence, which gives you weapon damage, crit chance, and crit hit damage. So you're getting 15 crit damage and 10% crit chance, which is really nice, and you get weapon damage. So he also has 12.8 weapon damage as the core attribute, weapon handling, crit chance, and crit hit damage, and glass cannon, which is basically Reckless from the first game. If you guys played that, it's pretty much the same concept, gives you the same kind of, the damage is amplified by 25%, which is a little bit different, and your damage you take is amplified by 50. So if you guys are real DPS people and you like Reckless from the first game, essentially this is pretty much Reckless on drugs that's been modified. But you will see that the Providence gives you health and skill power, and they've more implemented Providence into more of a DPS style brand set instead of a skill power and health weapon damage. So now you can just straight get up your DPS style, and this is just from the backpack. So if you have the 3-piece in this backpack, you could get some pretty high DPS if you have your stat rolls rolled correctly, and also you combine this with, you only have 2 talents, so you could use Glass Cannon with something like Berserk, depending on how they change it, or combine it with something like Clutch or Obliterate, or some of their DPS talent they're going to be putting in the game, and you essentially can just have a strong Glass Cannon DPS style build, but you will be really kind of weak because your damage gets amplified by 50%. But if you have ways to kind of counteract that, you essentially could just use this and rip through things like crazy, essentially like NPCs, since DT is gone. Now the next brand set is, which I know one of you guys love a lot, and that's going to be Wyvern. Wyvern has now been changed to a utility brand set as well. and that's more of a skill style set like Murakami. So if you're a skill build player, then you might want to keep an eye out some Wyvern, and also get some kind of an idea from these pieces. That way you know how they're going to be, how they're rolled with the attributes, and what mod slots are on them. That way you can get some kind of idea how you're going to want to build your skill build in the next update, due to the fact that some of these are changing. I'm really curious to see what they do to Alp Summit, because Alp Summit to me is the main one that skill players use a lot, because it's a skill brand set. That's what I see people use with they get skill haste and skill power, and they use that the most. But overall, you guys might want to just pick up some brand sets and kind of make a blueprint and keep an eye out for which ones you want to use, and also try not to get used to one thing, since everything is changing in the next update. And if you guys are new, that's how this game changes. Maybe not as drastically as this. This is a pretty big change, but they do change the game often. They do nerf things. They do change weapons. They change gear sets, and add new stuff like that. But this is pretty much a big overhaul, and the gear sets are going to be changing. The brand sets are going to be changing. But you guys are just going to try to make a blueprint of kind of what you want, and keep an eye out for some of the things in state of the game for the brand sets that are going to be changing, and that way you can kind of make some kind of blueprints or write it down, so that way you guys know what pieces to keep an eye out for in the next update, so that way you're not just scrounging through and seeing what does what. You'll already know what to look for and also know what to avoid. But hope this video helped. I know a lot of people are asking about it, but thank you guys all for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe, more Division 2 content, and I'll catch you guys all later.